Hello everyone, so I'm Jo Clanfield from Teach Outdoors, and today I'm joined by Victoria Bays, who's an occupational therapist and a sensory integration practitioner. Hello Vicky.
Hello.
So Vicky, just for everybody at home, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your job involves, please?
Yeah, of course. So, as an occupational therapist, we like to understand how people occupy their time, and that's to support them to engage in life's activities. We believe that participation in meaningful activities supports well-being. I've worked as an occupational therapist for 11 years. I've spent majority of my career within the field of mental health. And through my work, I became more intrigued about the sensory nature of everyday activities, how individuals' response to sensation may impact their day-to-day activities, and how we can use the senses to support participation. So now I'm an occupational therapist and a sensory integration practitioner. I'm working in independent practice with individuals across the lifespan, children, adults, and we're really looking at how we can use meaningful activities and the senses to support well-being.
Fantastic, thank you. So one of the reasons that I invited you along today, Vicky, was to actually talk about the training that you're leading, which is called Outdoor Learning for Children with Praxis Challenges. So can you just tell us a little bit more about what does that actually mean?
Yeah, so I think firstly it's probably good to talk a bit more about what praxis is. So when we talk about praxis challenges, it's often better known as dyspraxia or development coordination disorder. And what we're talking about within that is somebody having the ability to think of an idea of something that they want to do, to be able to create a motor plan to know what they need to do to carry that idea out, and to then have the motor coordination to be able to complete that. So it's very much linked to ideas as well as motor coordination itself. And within that, we understand sort of different patterns of praxis, and there are different ways that different people can present. So what we're trying to look at is for those individuals that might struggle and might find some of those motor coordination tasks quite difficult, then what we're looking at is how we can build our understanding of that, and how we can support them to engage in academic learning, because that's an area that it might be quite tricky for them.
Sounds really interesting. So actually, even thinking back to the classroom, I can already think of those children straight away that kind of struggle to kind of put everything together in a process that kind of enables them to get on with their learning. So yeah, I can already think of it, that those ones that would definitely struggle. So I suppose I've just kind of been through this, but who are you trying to support with the training? Who will really benefit from the training that you're delivering for us?
So I think teachers, teaching assistants, Senkos would really benefit from this training. I think anybody who wants to understand those praxis challenges in more detail. And I think the sort of things that we're looking at are the children who might present as quite clumsy. So they might, as you go to the carpet, stand on all the other children before they sit down. They might be the children who really struggle to coordinate both sides of their body at the same time. So they might find PE really challenging. And that might be the point that you might then see as a result of that, them finding it harder is some reluctance. You might see that it's, that they don't necessarily want to engage because actually they're finding it really tricky. And also we might see some challenges related to, really integrating some of the senses. So actually just being able to sit upright whilst handwriting, but also then being able to copy from a board. So actually visually being able to track where you are and knowing where you are within as your eyes are moving to copy things down. There are many other examples, but I think that just perhaps gives a snippet really of some of the challenges that these children might experience. And I think for any teachers, teaching assistants, Senkos that have perhaps noticed some of these challenges and might want to understand them more, and just begin their journey really of understanding what praxis is, and some strategies that might support children within their learning spaces.
Fantastic, thank you. So when I attend this training, what are the biggest takeaways that I will go away with? Sort of what strategies, how is it going to help me as a teacher?
Yeah, so I think I suppose one of the biggest areas is looking at how we can use outdoor learning environments to support these children to access the curriculum. And it might be that those areas are, somewhere that we can really develop some of these skills. It's very much motor based praxis challenges. So how we can use motor skills, how we can use movement within their learning to really support them to develop some of these skills, and to really support them. And we know that that then has a knock-on effect with supporting their well-being, promoting success for these children, but also to support them to actually be able to engage with academic learning. And I think that that's the key aspect really. And like I said, I think it's just starting to develop that understanding for people. People might just think, I want to really start to understand this a bit more, and just really build it. And it might be for people to understand some of these challenges before somebody's received a diagnosis of related to praxis challenges. It might be that actually they're working with somebody that has received a diagnosis, but they'd like to understand more, have a more generic understanding of praxis challenges before then being able to access the more individualized intervention strategies that child should be prescribed.
Yeah, receiving. And I also get that actually these are strategies that would help a lot of children in the classroom anyway, just to develop skills, just like you're saying, to develop their motor skills. A lot of children without praxis diagnosis of it, formal diagnosis, this is really going to help them, and also help me as a teacher to kind of think, what are the sort of things that I need to be providing opportunities for them to develop, and how can we do it in a fun way outside. My biggest thing as a teacher was always those children who really struggled with handwriting, like the spidery handwriting. And the thing that they were told to do over and over again was sit there with handwriting sheets and practice and practice and practice. And often it was, especially by the time that they were creeping into end of key stage 1, key stage 2, I don't want to be just sitting there. So for me, it was always, what's the reason behind this? Like, is there something else we need to start unpicking and giving them additional support? Because just practicing over the same thing with handwriting sheets wasn't working. So
absolutely. And I think that there are more creative ways that we can use the senses, that we can really start to, there's so many skills involved in handwriting, and actually we can really start to build those skills in more creative and more engaging ways. And often that can be done outside. And I think the outdoor learning environment really supports those skills to be built, rather than, like you say, seated in a classroom just practicing over and over again. And I think you'll get better outcomes for children if we look at building those skills in a more engaging way.
Definitely. Right, it sounds really excited, Vicky. Well, hopefully you'll all join us on Vicky's training, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you very much, Vicky. Bye.
Thank you.